On News Hour tonight, Abuja-Kaduna train passengers narrate ordeal as NRC suspend operations.
Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever.
ASUU members protest FG loan scheme and unpaid salaries. Daura hosts International Hausa Day to celebrate culture and unity. And on the foreign scene, 4 killed in gunmen attack on Cote d'Ivoire community. Hello, good evening and welcome to News Hour on Trust TV. I am Fatima Ahmed Musa. Thank you so much for joining us. And now, the passengers on board the Abuja-Kaduna train that derailed on Tuesday have recounted their ordeal from the ugly incident that left several people injured. Trust TV's Noah Sampson, who spoke with them, brings us exclusive reactions from some of the passengers and the details of the swift response of the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, and other security operatives to report.
The accident occurred at Ida, Kagaraku local government area of Kaduna State, just about 400 meters from Asham train station, approximately 40 meters from Kuba station in Abuja. On the way to the scene, several cars were seen conveying relatives who rushed to pick up their loved ones. At Asham station, different security agencies were on ground with a helicopter hovering over the area to safeguard lives and property. Some survivors were spotted at the station visibly shaken, but thankful to be alive, while others waited for relatives to come pick them up. At the crash site itself, NEMA officials were seen attending to the injured and transporting them to the hospital. A standby train was also provided to convey stranded passengers back to Abuja, although many victims were reluctant to speak as they were still shaken by the ordeal. A few agreed to share their experiences.
Like, the experience was mad. We were all terrified. I was even on the floor, safe. Like, for you to know how scared I was with this train, like, we were all on the floor, holding the chair just to protect ourselves.
Our train was scheduled for 10:05 for us to have left Kuba station, but there was a delay based on this cross section from another train coming from Kaduna. So we waited till around 10:45. That's when we left. Just barely 15-20 minutes into the journey, I was in that coach. I fell down. That coach 4. I just heard one terrible noise. The next thing, just like the normal movie I watch, we started drifting off the rail. Our train turned this way. We just managed grabbing for life. We were trying to break this thing to come out. You know, it was too hard. Then somebody went up. I don't know how to manage. Then we saw one little light. That's how we managed came out. Somebody in my coach lost his toe. Complete. I saw it. He lost his toe. A lady broke her head. Was any deaths? Have you heard of no deaths. Me, I'm having pain on my nails. No deaths, but so much injury.
We just had like the train was shaking, you know, and I was even taking a nap. So a box just hit my head, and I opened my eyes. I saw people shouting, and everybody was standing up. You know that the train had an accident. See what happened? Because the coach was at the back, so we couldn't see the front and everything.
Alhamdulillah, Allah mungo.
We thank God and the government of Nigeria. The response was quick. I was in fear before. I am okay now. May God continue to protect our country.
Also at the scene were the Director General of NEMA, Zubeida Umar, Acting Permanent Secretary, Minister of Transportation, Musa Ibrahim, Colonel Subsector for Operation Fasan Yama, Colonel M.H. Abdullahi. They gave accounts of the respective agencies' interventions.
Everywhere is calm, as you can see, and we've been able to secure the area, and the people that were injured have been evacuated and taken to hospital, while a couple of them were treated in the ambulances that you see situated here. But so far so good, everything is under control.
I learned about the accident. Immediately the MD informed me. The Honorable Minister directed that we move to the site, evacuate everybody, and those injured should be treated immediately. We came with doctors, nurses, and some security operatives. Those critical, about 7 of them have been taken to Abuja, and
those needing first aid have been attended to by NEMA. So for the rest, the Honourable Minister have directed that this train should leave immediately, packing all the passengers and their belongings back to Abuja for safety.
Immediately we got the report of the incident. Troops were able to mobilize less than 10 minutes. We're already on site, and we already had people at Asham Terminal. And from here to Asham Terminal is just about 400 meters. So those troops that were stationed at Asham Terminal got here in less than 2 minutes.
According to the Acting Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Transportation, an investigation will be launched immediately to determine the cause of the accident and prevent future occurrences. Noel Samson, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Meanwhile, the Kaduna State government has expressed deep concern over the Abuja-Kaduna train derailment that occurred on Tuesday morning, causing panic among passengers. In a statement by the Commissioner Designate for Information, Ahmed Meyagi, Governor Obasani directed the State Emergency Management Agency and the Ministry of Local Government Affairs to immediately evacuate stranded passengers and ensure victims received prompt medical care. The governor also instructed that all injured persons be treated without delay, while emergency psychological support is provided to affected families. He sympathized with the passengers and their families, urging residents to remain calm as investigation continues into the cause of the derailment. The government assured that the situation is under control and reaffirmed its commitment to the safety and well-being of all citizens. The Nigerian Railway Corporation (NRC) has announced the suspension of train operations on Abuja-Kaduna corridor following Tuesday's derailment incident. Managing Director of the NRC, Kaide Opeifa, confirmed the development during a press briefing in Abuja, stressing that services will remain suspended until investigations are concluded and safety is assured. According to him, technical teams from the NRC officials of the Nigerian Safety Investigation Bureau (NSIB) and other relevant agencies are already at the scene to determine the cause of the derailment and ensure preventive measures are put in place. He also disclosed that refunds have been processed for all passengers affected by the disruption. The NRC boss also revealed that 6 passengers sustained minor injuries during the incident and have since received medical attention. Meanwhile, the NSIB has formally opened an investigation into the incident, and authorities work to restore safe and efficient rail service along the route. Nigeria's rail transport is facing renewed safety concern after a Kaduna-Abuja passenger train derailed on Tuesday, overturning some coaches and causing panic among passengers. This comes just days after the Nigeria Railway Corporation reported a technical fault on the same route and follows a series of incidents in recent years, including the deadly March 2022 attack. With billions invested in rail infrastructure, repeated derailments and breakdowns raise urgent questions about safety, maintenance and accountability in the sector. Abdullah Ahmed has more.
Nigeria's rail system, once promoted as a safer and faster alternative to highways, is increasingly defined by derailments, breakdowns and deadly attacks. Between 2022 and 2025 alone, at least 7 major derailments and security incidents have been reported across the Abuja-Kaduna and Warri-Itakpe corridors. The latest incident happened on Tuesday when a passenger train on the busy Abuja-Kaduna route derailed, overturning several cabins. Passengers describe chaotic scenes as people scrambled to safety. No casualties have been confirmed, but the derailment came just 6 days after another Abuja-Kaduna train developed a hot axle fault near Rigasa station in Kaduna. In May of 2024, a Warri-Itakpe train carrying more than 600 passengers derailed, leaving travelers stranded for hours in unsafe conditions. The most violent case remains the March 28, 2022 attack on the Abuja-Kaduna train when armed men killed at least 62 passengers and abducted dozens of others, shaking public confidence in rail travel. The main problem fueling these disruptions are measurable. Over 3,500 kilometers of track in Nigeria are decades old, with little comprehensive rehabilitation. Train breakdowns or derailments occur at least twice every quarter, according to reports. Only two major corridors, the Abuja-Kaduna and Lagos-Ibadan, handle the bulk of passenger traffic, making failures disproportionately disruptive. Nigeria has invested over $8 billion in rail projects since 2010, but maintenance spending lags far behind capital projects. Emergency response often takes between 3 to 5 hours, leaving passengers exposed to risks during these incidents. Every derailment or breakdown erodes public confidence in a sector meant to ease pressure on Nigerian highways and drive economic connectivity. With ridership on the Abuja-Kaduna line averaging 4,000 passengers daily, even one derailment is not just an accident, but a systemic failure that puts thousands at risk.
Now, an ASUU protest. Intro lecturers at the University of Jos on Tuesday staged a peaceful protest on campus, calling on the federal government to urgently meet their demands or risk a total shutdown of academic activities. The lecturers, who marched to the institution's Senate building chanting solidarity songs, warned that failure to address their concern by the end of August could spell serious consequences for Nigeria's tertiary education system. Ado Musa has the details.
Speaking on behalf of the lecturers, ASUU chairperson Gilbert Joseph Molwus recalled that President Bola Tinubu had, during his 2023 campaign, promised to settle all outstanding claims and ensure there will be no university strikes under his administration. He lamented that the promise remained unfulfilled.
It is in the light of the foregoing that the University of Jos branch of ASUU is addressing you today, being the 26th of August 2025. This is being done with a view to drawing the attention of all critical stakeholders to the persistent failure of the federal government to adequately address our demands.
Molwus stressed that members will no longer accept excuses from the government, urging the public to hold the authorities accountable if decisive action is not taken. He further noted that lecturers are aware of a planned meeting scheduled for August 28, warning that they will take a firm position if government fails to address their demands.
We would like the general public to be informed that ASUU is worried that it may no longer be able to continue to guarantee the industrial harmony that has been enjoyed for over 2 years, of which the federal government of Nigeria is no doubt proud. We would like to state for the record that this has been achieved at the detriment of the welfare and well-being of our resilient members who have suffered persistent denial of their due entitlements.
Also speaking, the national president of ASUU, Chris Piuna, said all members across the country will comply with strike action if the government fails to fulfill its promises.
Unilag is ready to move. Yes, UNN is ready to move. Yes. ASUU is ready to move. Yes. EPSU is ready to move. Yes. Unilorin is ready to move. Yes. All of us are ready to move. Yes. We just ask government to listen to this movement because when we start, stopping us is difficult. Yes. And we don't want to start. Absolutely. We want to solve this problem. Absolutely. We want to engage and resolve this problem.
The lecturers therefore call on the federal government to restore their hope by urgently resolving the issues to avert a looming crisis in the university system. Ado Musa, Trust TV News, Jos.
The Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASUU, Kashere chapter, on Tuesday staged a peaceful protest over the non-implementation of the Mahmoud Yayele report. This development comes just weeks after the federal government assured Nigerians that it will not allow ASUU to embark on any industrial action under its watch. Students, however, expressed concern that the lingering dispute may increase their financial burden, extend their graduation time, and subject them to further psychological stress. The report.
Early Tuesday morning, lecturers converged at ASUU Secretariat of the Federal University of Kashere before proceeding on a peaceful march around the campus.
Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever.
Their protest centered on the federal government's failure to implement recommendations from various committees set up to improve lecturers' welfare and strengthen university autonomy.
And we have realized government is just dribbling with our intelligence. We have series of demands ranging from our 2009 renegotiated agreements. Open committee was set up, starting from Babalaking, Munzali, coming down to Yayele. This present government said the Yayele committee. Yayele did their own job, a very wonderful job, with their recommendations. This report was submitted since February 2025, and yet government is still dragging on the implementation of this renegotiated agreement. Failure to have anything positive from our members. What I said, we are going on industrial action, or whatever our neck will decide.
The lecturers argued that the federal government's neglect has worsened their social and economic well-being and negatively impacted the quality of education in tertiary institutions.
We have been always agitating for a better package, a better salary for the workers, the teachers, the lecturers in the university. This has made so many of our staff, our academic staff, not to be able to carry out their duties with accordance or in accordance to the way it is arranged. One, it is becoming difficult for lecturers to even come to school. Two, many of our colleagues had to devise means of getting more income to augment the poor salary that government is paying. So that is really affecting the outcome of the job. You can see that the lecturer is psychologically disturbed. He's not settled. Therefore, he cannot give his best. Therefore, we are calling for federal government to give this new package so that lecturers will not look for any other job beside this job that they are doing.
On their part, students appeal the government to urgently address ASUU's concerns, stressing that unresolved dispute could prolong their stay in school and dampen the morale of prospective candidates.
It's going to affect our academy because you can see what happened in 2021 when we went on 8-month strike. By now, I think I should be a graduate from Federal University of Kashere, and if federal government should fail to meet their demand, then definitely one thing is likely to happen. So I am urging the federal government on behalf of the other students that they should please meet the demand of the lecturer and that of ASUU, so that we the students won't experience what we faced back then in 2021, and for those that are also coming up, so that they won't experience anything like strike again. We want a better future for ourselves.
Without them meeting the needs of the lecturers, they won't be around, they won't be available to teach us, and then the years that we are supposed to have spent here to gain all those knowledge and graduate, we'll be wasting it, and then time will be wasted without us making the achievements at the right time. That can also lead to delay of destiny in our lives. You know, everybody has the way God has planned his things for them. So if we are delayed here to spend extra years, those years that we are supposed to have achieved something and be productive, we are still using it to study. So it's really going to affect us.
This marks the first protest by university lecturers under President Bola Tinubu's administration. Whether the federal government will implement the Mahmoud Yaele report and abort another round of industrial action remains to be seen.
Solidarity forever.
Hassan Lawan Koli, Trust TV News, Kwempe.
Still on the protest, the Ahmadu Bello University ABU branch of the Academic Staff Union of University ASUU on Tuesday staged a peaceful protest over the federal government's failure to honor its earlier agreement with the union. Members of the union marched around the university premises carrying placards with various inscriptions and chanting solidarity songs meant to draw government's attention to their plight. The report.
Speaking to journalists shortly after the march at the Senate building of the institution, ASUU chairman ABU Zaria branch, Comrade Haruna Jibril, accused the federal government of neglecting the education sector and showing a nonchalant attitude toward the flight of university lecturers. He lamented that despite repeated promises, the government has failed to implement the renegotiated 2009 ASUU federal government agreement, noting that instead, the government is employing delayed tactics even after receiving the report of its renegotiating committee.
We normally start with protest, and of course, it all depends upon government's response to our demands. If they respond responsibly, definitely all further industrial actions can be averted. But if government refuses to address, the union has no option but to leave and take the next decisive action on the matter.
Comrade Jibril noted that ASUU has been pushed to the wall following years of underfunding of universities, withheld salaries, unpaid arrears, and the victimization of lecturers in some institutions. He stressed that the union had shown enough patience by refraining from strike action for over 2 years in the hope that the government will address the crisis amicably.
Even though we allow our members to go and assess the loan if they so wish, but as a union, we rejected the loan in principle, and not only that, we also rejected the idea of acting as guarantors to our members, because our members are employees of the government. So I don't think as a government you need any guarantee or introduction letter from any third party to grant your employee loan.
The chairman explained that ASUU has written several letters and explored various strategies of engagement to draw government attention to the issues, but with no positive result. On the proposed loan scheme for lecturers, Jibril said the union has rejected the idea but left it open for members to access individually if they so wish. He warned that if the government continued to ignore the lingering issues, the union will be left with no option but to shut down the university. The Vice-Chancellor of ABU, Professor Ahmed Ademu, a former ASUU executive, pledged to convey the union's concern to the authorities involved.
So as a university, we will provide all the necessary support to ensure that the welfare of all union members are sustained and maintained. Whatever position you want us to communicate to the higher authorities, we will continue to listen to you and to take it beyond the council of this university, but also to the federal government.
Thank you. Other members of the union also added their voices, reinforcing the call on the government to act without delay.
We want them to honor our agreement, to do the needful, so that our welfare will be taken into consideration. We work so hard. We are the ones that are educating everybody, everybody in this country. Yes. I think our welfare should be paramount in their mind.
It is essential that the government, do this, because we have had the agreement. They said several committees. Nimi Briggs, now the last one led by current Pro-Chancellor, Alhaji Ayla Ahmed. And this thing was concluded, so they should just act on it.
Well, the government in ASUU expected to meet on Thursday, August 28th. The union is hopeful that the meeting will be productive in order to avert a shutdown of universities. From Zaria, I am Abubakar Sadiq Mohammed, Trust TV News.
Now, thousands of people have converged on the ancient city of Daura in Katsina State to celebrate the 2025 World Hausa Day, one of Africa's most significant cultural events. The festival, which attracted participants from Nigeria and Niger Republic, was organized to preserve the Hausa culture, traditions, crafts, and cuisines while fostering unity among the people. From Daura in Katsina State, Trust TV's Abdullah Yamadi has the details.
This year's celebration was not just about festivities, but also about reinforcing unity, peace, and the enduring legacy of the Hausa people, whose traditions have shaped African history for centuries. It is in Daura, the birthplace of Hausa civilization, that the story of the Hausa language began centuries ago, and today that story came alive in its truest form. The day-long program featured a grand Doba procession showcasing traditional horsemanship and regalia. Exhibitions highlighted Hausa history, attire, craft, cuisine, and the modern-day relevance of the language. From Kokowa, Hausa wrestling, masu wasan gargajiya to thrilling cultural dances, the festival brimmed with vibrant performances. A unique moment came when the Ema and a group of Endakama performers revived ancient Hausa speech, understood only within the palace walls. The event was graced by Prime Minister of Niger Republic, Colonel Masallachi Muhammad, the Sultan of Damagaram, Abubakar Sanda, and dignitaries from the Katsina State government. Though not a speech-making occasion, representatives of the Katsina Emirate and National Assembly member Alhassan Ado Dogwa urged stakeholders to protect Hausa identity from foreign cultural influences. Governor Diko Umaru Radda, represented by his special advisor on Emirates and Chieftaincy Affairs, Usman Abajai, sympathized with the people over the prevailing insecurity, assuring that his administration would not relent until peace is restored. Horse riders who traveled nearly 85 kilometers from Katsina City to Daura added color and spectacle to the day. Founder of International Hausa Day, journalist and cultural advocate Abdulbaki Aliujari described the movement as one of pride, connection, and prosperity for the Hausa people. Stakeholders, meanwhile, called for sustainability of the festival, describing it as a symbol of unity, humility, honor, and love. Abdullahi Izuma Yamadi, Trust Television News, Katsina.
This is News Hour on Trust TV. Coming up after the break. FCT rural roads worsen as residents cry out for help. The summer will return. To stay with us. Welcome back. If you're just joining, this is News Hour on Trust TV. In case you missed it, here's a recap of our top stories again. We told you that Abuja-Kaduna train passengers narrate ordeal as NRC suspends operations. And ASUU members protest FG loan scheme and unpaid salaries. Moving on, the Academic Staff Union of University ASUU in Borno State have staged a peaceful protest against the FG over its failure to improve welfare, autonomy and funding for universities. This comes as more chapters across the nation held protests to draw government's attention to their plight. Trust TV's Bitrus Kurusi has the details.
Carrying placards and banners, academic staff members of University of Maiduguri in their numbers marched, chanting solidarity songs around the institution's campus and headed straight to the Senate building. The peaceful protest was hinged on the lingering dispute around the 2009 agreement between the federal government and Academic Staff Union of Universities ASUU, which include improved funding for universities, better welfare for lecturers, and respect for universities' autonomy, and the reversal of the renaming of the university. The union said it wants the federal government to fulfill these promises to save Nigeria's tertiary institutions from collapse.
We are not happy. The agreement that government have had with ASUU since 2009, there have been no salary review. Now, the average lecturer is going home with 416. If not for the 35%, they increase for professors. As at now, no professor is going home with anything about 500. You know? So now, there are agreements by some committees. The latest one, Yaya Ahmed Committee, that has pegged professorial salary to be at least something above $1 million. We are not asking too much.
All the issues, if you look at our banner, all the issues that we have with the federal government are captured on our banners. The most important of all is the renegotiation of the 2009 agreement. It has been renegotiated, but government, in its usual dilly-dally way, had refused to sign that agreement.
Let it be known, ASUU will not remain silent while the foundations of our universities are eroded. We will not stand idle as agreements are dishonored and our members are subjected to economic hardship and institutional disrespect. I wish what I presented earlier was the preamble, but we take the preamble now. The University of Maiduguri, chapter of ASUU, is compelled to speak out against the federal government's continued neglect of university education and its repeated breaches of agreements freely entered into with our union.
While the union presses for their demands, it waits to see if the government will take action. Bitrus Kuruti, Trust TV News, Maiduguri.
Now, the Academic Staff Union of University Bayero University Kano branch on Tuesday staged a protest in Kano demanding the immediate signing and implementation of its renegotiated agreement with the federal government, payment of withheld salaries, and improved funding of the nation's universities. Speaking during the protest, the vice chairman of ASUU, BUK Yusuf Madugu, said the action was a first step to compel the government to respond to lingering demands that have dragged for years. He noted that the union has undergone several rounds of renegotiation with different government-appointed committees, including those led by Professor Munzali Jibrin and Professor Nimi Briggs, without result. According to him, the most recent renegotiation with the Yaele Ahmed-led committee was concluded in December 2024, noting that the government has failed to act on it.
This protest is timely. We want to believe that this is the right time to do this protest. We have a number of demands which we have presented, which are before the government, and these demands have taken longer than necessary. These demands need to be addressed, and the time to address these demands is now. We have interacted, we have engaged them, we have engaged those that are associates of the government. We have explored number of ways to reach out to the government, to make the government do the needful. But unfortunately, it appears government is not listening. It appears government is not ready to do the needful. And that is why we said that maybe the only language government can understand was forced to stage this protest.
Lecturers under the aegis of the Academic Staff Union of University of Ibadan, UI chapter, on Tuesday staged a peaceful awareness protest and rally over the delay in signing renegotiated agreements with the union by the Tinubu-led federal government. The union stressed that only the signing of the agreement on August 28, when the federal government's team is expected to meet with ASUU, could avert another industrial strike in Nigeria's public universities. Carrying placards with various inscriptions, ASUU members marched across the campus, sensitizing the university community on the looming possibility of industrial action if the government fails to finalize and sign the agreements already reached with the union. And now we'll move to politics. Former Kaduna State Governor Nasir El-Rufai has praised what he called a spirit of unity and foresight after the entire structure of the Social Democratic Party, SDP, in the state reportedly collapsed into the African Democratic Congress, ADC. He described the move, which took place at the high-level coalition meeting, as a major realignment in Kaduna's political space. El-Rufai, who presided over the meeting, said the merger would help build a formidable front ahead of future contests and stressed that progressive governance could only be achieved when leaders set aside narrow interest for the greater good. But in a swift reaction, the Kaduna SDP denied collapsing its structure into the ADC. In a statement signed by its state chairman, Adamu Idris, the party dismissed El-Rufai's claims as spurious, misleading, and politically mischievous. Now, the Benue State House of Assembly has suspended former Speaker Aundona Dajo for 3 months over an alleged plot to impeach Governor Hyacinth Alia. The suspension followed a motion moved on Tuesday by Tena Shimawa of Kang constituency, seconded by James Umoru of Upper constituency. Interestingly, Shimawa was among those suspended last week Friday by Dajo before his resignation as Speaker. Current Speaker Alfred Baja, who ruled on the motion, reviewed Dajo's suspension from 6 months to 3 months without the usual voting process. In another twist, the Assembly reversed itself on Tuesday by confirming the nomination of Timothy Yangen Oguga as Commissioner. Oguga, a law lecturer at Benue State University, had been rejected last week under Dajo's leadership.
The motion came that people should the speaker should be suspended and former speaker should be suspended, and the reasons were alleged. Seconded by someone, there was no controversy. There was no voting process. There was no voting process. The speaker governed that the suspension should be just reducing from 6 months proposal to 3 months. So that's the procedure. That's the procedure. We don't have those proofs, but the person who moved the motion had the proofs, and the person who seconded us had the proofs. And the speaker has ruled and it is suspended. You will recall that the speaker read the correspondence from the governor. And the governor acknowledges the fact that those candidates were rejected. It was our right to reject them. But the governor, in his letter, stated that the rejection was not rooted from any law to say that those people have been indicted previously by a court or maybe by a commission. And so he is interested to work with them because he believes they have the quality and capacity to help him in the areas he wants.
The Anambra State House of Assembly has suspended the member representing Ayamelum constituency, Bernard Udemezu, for 3 months. Udemezu was suspended over a message and content he shared on social media, which the House described as damaging content. The PDP lawmaker had alleged on social media that his constituency, Ayamelum, is marginalized in the area of constituency allowance. But reacting to the post, the House first passed the resolution to summon Udemezu at its plenary last Tuesday, following a matter of urgent public importance moved by the member representing Agwata 2 constituency, Tony Mobike, and seconded by Chief Whip and member representing Ihiala 1 constituency, Jude Ngobili. The Speaker, Somtochukwu Udeze, who presided over the plenary last Tuesday, referred the matter to the House Committee on Rules, Businesses, Ethics and Privileges to report back to the House on Tuesday. At plenary on Tuesday, the House passed the resolution to suspend the lawmaker for 3 months. Now, persistent rainfall has worsened the condition of rural roads in the FCT, disrupting socio-economic activities and agricultural productivity. Many of these roads, which are untarred and without proper drainage systems, became impassable during the rainy season, causing crops losses and increasing transportation costs. Farmers, in particular, are forced to rely on motorcycles or pay higher transport fares, which directly reduce their income. In this report, Trust TV's Noel Sampson visits some rural communities in Abaji Area Council to assess the situation and its impact on residents.
Reports that rural road being in the FCT are deplorable without proof would undermine professional journalism. To provide evidence, Trust TV visited Abaji Area Council, the farthest from the city center, covering about 992 square kilometers. From there, we proceeded to the rural communities such as Pandegi, Baku, and Rimba, located about 20 kilometers from the council secretariat. Our vehicle could not gain full access to these communities due to the poor state of the roads. Even bigger vehicles with drivers familiar with the terrain struggled to pass. We also observed old dilapidated school structures in these villages, though our main focus remained on how the bad roads affect residents' livelihoods and incomes.
Actually, there are a lot of farmers from Pandagi and Nanda community and also Pandagi Bako there. We are the largest producer. Are you getting me? Yes. But how to bring out our farm crops is a problem to us, in which we need a help.
The road is affecting us seriously, most especially this rainy season period. Sometimes the water will full everywhere, cover even some things that they even planted. The flood will just pack everything and go. We needed water because this one is, before we do anything, we have to come to the river, and the water is not even good for drinking. We see the water we are even drinking is even bad, but we didn't have any option. But what we are looking on to government to assist us.
Actually, it affects everyone around here. As you can see, there's many villages inside here. We have a Bagi, Mamagi people across river. They are coming through this way. All of us are farmers here, but to export our things out is a problem. As you can see the road, this is the smallest part you are seeing here. If you go further, in fact, your stomach will pain you. I'm telling you. It's very hard to transport things from inside there out to Abaji. Before you get to Abaji, some people will left home early in the morning, 5 o'clock. But to get to Abaji market, to be more than 11 or 12, before they get to Abaji due to situation of the road.
This road is dilapidated. There are potholes and it is muddy. The bridge on Egbaji Road is on the verge of collapse due to flooding. Bachiwa Road has the same problem. There are lots of challenges on these roads. From these communities, Trust TV visited the Abaji Local Government Secretariat, where the Council Secretary, Agaba Audu Nuku, spoke on the challenges and appealed for both state and federal government intervention.
If you know Abaji Area Council, we start from Abaji here, we have 3 wards. We have another ward and Adlubu axis. Then from Agana, Rimba, Ibagi, and Adu. It's one of the areas. But after the Riverine area, you have to go through Gau, which the road terrain is not encouraging at all. And to Candid, those living around these areas, it's not easy for them. There is a place we call Pandagi Babu. Your car cannot go there. You will drive to some extent, you have to stop. And there are people living there. And even to survive, it's not an easy thing. Common grinding engine they don't have. They have to take bike to Abaji or Agana to grind before going back home. My appeal is that if the federal government or the states can do their own best to help the chairman to extend those projects to those areas, at least roads. The most impressing issues are roads and water.
Bad roads in Nigeria contribute to huge economic losses. In 2022 alone, poor road infrastructure cost the country an estimated 1 trillion naira annually due to longer travel times, higher vehicle operating costs, and inefficiencies in the transport sector. Farmers also suffer post-harvest losses as they struggle to get produce to markets, worsening food insecurity. Additionally, poor road conditions are linked to a 1.6% decline in GDP, increased maintenance costs, and a higher risk of fatal accidents. Noel Samson, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Nigeria and Brazil signed 5 memoranda of understanding to strengthen trade, diplomacy, science, aviation, and finance cooperation between both countries. Key among the agreements signed during President Bola Tinubu's visit to Brazil are resumption of operations of the country's state-owned oil company in Nigeria's oil and gas sector, 5 years after halted its joint venture operations. Both countries also signed a bilateral air service agreement, BASA, which will launch direct flights between Lagos and Sao Paulo. Kende Amodu reports.
This is President Tinubu's 3rd visit to Brazil in 2 years, first to attend the 19th G20 summit in Rio de Janeiro in 2024, second to attend the 17th BRICS Leaders Summit on Climate Change in July, and now to undertake an official and state visit at the invitation of President Lula da Silva of Brazil. After a 2-hour bilateral meeting on Monday, the two leaders witnessed the signing of agreements and MOUs at the Palácio do Planalto in Brasilia. The agreements include the bilateral air services agreement to boost trade and people-to-people ties, an agreement on diplomatic training cooperation, in addition to an MOU on political consultations to address bilateral regional and international issues of common interest. Other agreements include an MOU on cooperation in biotechnology, bioeconomy, ocean science and raw materials research, as well as an MOU for cooperation in trade and investment promotion. President Tinubu is upbeat about revitalizing the partnership between the two countries, noting that Nigeria's economic space remains a virgin land full of opportunities for Brazilian companies.
We as a nation, an African nation, the most populous country, the most dynamic country, Nigeria, to share with Brazil what we need to share among each other. Technology transfer, economic renaissance that will be beneficial to the two countries. Let Brazil continue to widen the opportunity for us to embrace Africa. Africa is the new frontier. There's no other way to do it but to embrace, both in technology, science development, research and development, food sovereignty, and manufacturing techniques.
On the other hand, President Lula da Silva welcomes the restart of Brazil-Nigeria relations, reiterating his country's dedication to building a world of peace free from hegemonic impositions. Stakeholders speak about the benefits of these agreements to Nigerians, especially the chairman of Air Peace, whose airline has been designated to operate direct flights between Lagos and Sao Paulo.
Most of his shuttles abroad have started paying dividends for the good of our nation. Today, the bilateral air services agreement has been signed between both countries, Brazil and Nigeria. And I'm sure you heard when President Lula of Brazil said that Nigeria's largest carrier, Air Peace, has been designated to implement this BASA by running scheduled flight operations into and out of Brazil to Nigeria.
Nigeria is Brazil's 49th largest export destination, with trade totaling nearly $2.1 billion in 2024. On the flip side, Brazil sent almost $1 billion of exports to Nigeria, made up primarily of sugar and jams, and received $1.1 billion of imports, made up mostly of fertilizers. It is expected that the agreement signed during this state visit will deepen economic cooperation between the two countries. Kehinde Amodu, Trust TV News.
And now in business, the national average retail price of premium motor spirit, PMS, otherwise known as petrol, increased year-on-year by 33.0% to 1,024 naira 99 kobo in July 2025 compared to the value in the corresponding period of 2024. The National Bureau of Statistics (NBS) reports on premium motor spirit price watch for July 2025 disclosed that Jigawa State topped the price chart for the product at 1,107 naira 52 kobo, followed by Lagos and Sokoto State with 1,100 naira and 29 kobo and 1,100 naira per litre, respectively. However, Zamfara, Yobe, and Kogi State emerged with the lowest average retail price for the product at 884 naira 63 kobo, 950 naira 60 kobo and 986 naira 67 respectively, according to the NBS report. On zonal profile analysis, the Northwest Zone had the highest average retail price of 1,035 naira 85 kobo, while the Northeast Zone had the lowest price of 1,017 naira 65 kobo. And now on foreign, an attack by unidentified armed men has killed 4 villagers and left another missing in northeastern Ivory Coast near Burkina Faso. The army said Tuesday in the first deadly attack in the West African country since 2021. Ivory Coast shares a border spanning nearly 600 kilometers with Burkina Faso, where terrorist groups are active across much of the country. The incursion took place in the small village of Difita, 2 kilometers from the Burkinabe border during the night of Sunday to Monday. The Ivory Coast Army's Chief of Staff General Lassina Daubia said in a statement. The Ivorian Army said it had deployed air and ground troops against the attackers who fled before the troops arrived. An attack in northern Ivory Coast in June 2020 left 14 army personnel dead in Kafolo. 2 soldiers were also killed in March 2021. And now it's time for us to join Kabir Lawan for more sports news.
Super Falcons captain Rashidat Ajibade has completed a move to French giant Paris Saint-Germain PSG on a 2-year contract following her exit from Atletico Madrid at the end of last season. She now links up with fellow Super Falcons star Jennifer Echegini at the club, announcing the signing in its blog post today. PSG said Ajibade's contract will run until 30th June 2027. Still on sports news, Kano State Governor Abba Kabir Yusuf has approved the airlift of Kano State athletes contingent to Asaba, the capital of Delta State, to attend the forthcoming National Youth Games Asaba 2025. This was disclosed by the acting chairman of Kano State Sports Commission, Ibrahim Umar Fagi, shortly after meeting with the State Commissioner for Youth and Sports Development, Mustafa Rabiu Musa Konkoso, in his office. Fagi said the move is to protect its athletes against a like repeat what happened to 22 athletes from the state who lost their lives on way back to Kano from Ogun State during the Gateway Games in a road accident. He said Kano State will attend the youth games with over 170 athletes and will compete in 17 sporting events. Fagi charged the athletes to tighten their belts to make the state proud and remain good ambassadors to the government and good people of Kano State throughout the games. The state contingent is expected to leave Malam Aminu Kano International Airport, Kano, to Asaba Airport on Tuesday. That's Sport News. I am Kabir Lawa.
And with that, we have come to the end of News Hour on Trust TV. Do not forget to watch and catch us across all our social media platforms for more news, programs, and documentaries. I am Fatima Ahmed Musa. Good night and thanks for watching.